Hello everyone, welcome back to Learn with Sadia. Today we are going to practice 50 crucial MCQs on syntax and structure, specifically designed for JLDL net set aspirants. Let's get started and boost your confidence for the exam. The very first question is, what is syntax in linguistics? Okay, see here, every single time for every single question I'm not going to read all the options. We will directly go for the correct option. Okay, so very first question, what is syntax in linguistics? Answer for this question is the study of sentence structure. Here the correct answer is option B, the study of sentence structure. Moving to the next question, which of the following is a type of sentence structure? Here we have four options: simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence. All these three are types of sentence structures. So here the correct option is option D, all the above. Okay, all the above is the correct answer for second question. Moving on to the third question. What is a phrase in syntax? What is a phrase in syntax? Phrase is nothing but a group of words that function as a unit. So here, option B is the correct answer. See here, in simple words, phrase is nothing but it is a group of words or a set of words which function as a unit, but phrase by itself it will not provide complete meaning. Okay, moving on to the next question. What is the function of a noun phrase in a sentence? Here, the correct option is to function as a subject or object. So, noun phrase, it can function as a subject or noun phrase can function as an object. So, option B is the correct answer for fourth question. Moving on to the fifth question. What is a clause in syntax? Okay, what is a clause? Previous one was what is a phrase? Let me tell you, phrase is a group of words. Clause is also a group of words, but sometimes clause is able to express complete thought. So here the correct option is option A. Okay, for fifth question, the correct answer is a group of words that express a complete thought is a clause. Fine. So moving on to the next question. What is the difference between dependent and an independent clause? Okay, I will directly read the correct option. Here, option B is the correct answer. The difference between dependent and independent clause. Okay, an independent clause can stand alone in the sense any clause is a group of words. If it is giving complete meaning without depending on the other clause, then it is called as independent clause. But there are some clauses which depend on other clauses. They are called as dependent clauses. So answer is an independent clause can stand alone. Okay. So moving on to the seventh question. What is the function of a verb phrase in a sentence? What is the function of a verb phrase in a sentence? Here you can see clearly option C. Option C is the correct answer. Okay. Here answer is to express action or state. Moving on to the eighth question. What is the structure of simple sentence? Sentence in the sense it will have one independent clause with no dependent clauses. Simple sentence itself means one independent clause and there are no dependent clauses present in a sentence. Okay. Next one, what is the structure of compound sentence? Okay, what is the structure of compound sentence? Here again option B is the correct answer. Two or more independent clauses. Two or more independent clauses joined by a conjunction is a compound sentence. So moving on to the 10th question. What is the structure of complex sentence? The structure of complex sentence, it has one independent clause and one dependent clause. Option A is the correct answer. Moving to the 11th question. What is the function of a modifier in a sentence? Function of modifier is to modify a noun or a verb. Okay. Now what is a dangling modifier? A modifier a modifier that is placed too far away from the word it is modifying. See, any modifier, if it is placed too far from the word it is modifying, then it is called as dangling modifier. What is a function of a conjunction in a sentence? What is conjunction doing? Conjunction, the role of conjunction is to join words, phrases, or clauses together. Okay. Moving on to the 14th question. What is the difference between coordinating and subordinating conjunction? Difference between coordinating and subordinating conjunction is a coordinating conjunction joins equal classes. Option A. Okay. Coordinating conjunction joins equal clauses, whereas subordinating conjunction it joins unequal clauses. Okay. Now, 15th question on what is the function of relative clause in a sentence? The function of relative clause in a sentence is to modify a noun or pronoun. To modify a noun or pronoun. Okay. Then we have 16th question. What is the difference between a restrictive and a non-restrictive clause? A restrictive clause provides essential information, while a non-restrictive clause provides non-essential information. Option A is the correct answer. The next question is, what is the function of pronoun in a sentence? Obviously, as we know, any word which replaces a noun or a noun phrase. Okay, any word which replaces a noun or a noun phrase is pronoun. So option A is the correct answer. Moving on to the 16th question, 18th question. What is the difference between subject and an object pronoun? Here, a subject pronoun functions as a subject of a sentence, whereas object pronoun functions as an object of a sentence. Okay, here option A is the correct answer. Subject pronoun functions as a subject of a sentence, object pronoun functions as the object. Okay, then we have next one, 19th question. What is the function of preposition in a sentence? The function of preposition in a sentence is to show the relationship between a noun or pronoun and other words. To show the relationship between a noun or pronoun or other words. So option A is the correct answer. What is a prepositional phrase? A phrase that begins with a preposition and ends with a noun or pronoun. Any phrase, any group of words beginning with preposition, ending with noun or pronoun is a prepositional phrase. Okay. Then moving on to the 21st question. What is the function of adjective in a sentence? Adjective is to modify a noun or pronoun. Okay. It is always giving or providing some information regarding noun or pronoun. Then next question. What is the difference between a comparative and superlative adjective? Here again option A is the correct answer. A comparative adjective compares two things, while a superlative adjective compares three or more things. The next question is, what is the function of adverb in a sentence? Okay, we have seen the function of adjective and pronoun. Now the question is adverb function in a sentence. It is to modify a verb, adjective, or another adverb. One word, any, I'll tell you in simple words, any word in English which tells about a verb or an adjective, or if it describes another adverb, then it will be called as an adverb. Then moving on to the 24th question. What is the difference between a sentence fragment and a complete sentence? Sentence fragment and a complete sentence. Here, if we carefully observe, option D is the correct answer. Okay. A complete sentence is a group of words that express a complete thought, while a sentence fragment is not. Sentence fragment is just a part of a sentence. Complete sentence, it can provide one complete sense or meaning out of it. Okay. Moving on to the 25th question. What is the function of comma splice in a sentence? The function of comma splice in a sentence is to join two independent clauses together. To join two independent clauses together. So option A is the correct answer. What is the difference between active and passive voice? Okay, what is the difference between active voice and passive voice? Active voice emphasizes the subject, while passive voice emphasizes the object. So, for 26th question, option A is the correct answer. Moving on to the 27th question, what is the function of a participle in a sentence? Again, option A is the correct answer. The function of participle in a sentence is to function as a verb or as an adjective. Okay. Then we have 28th question. 28th question. What is gerund? Okay. Here option A is the correct answer. A verb form ending in ing that functions as a noun. See, it is a verb form. It is ending with ing, that is V4. But if it is functioning as a noun, then it will be called as gerund. Okay. Then we have the next one. What is an infinitive? Infinitive means a verb form beginning with to, that functions as a noun or adjective or an adverb. So here option A is the correct answer. What is the function of clause in a sentence? So here next question is, what is the function of clause in a sentence? The function of clause in a sentence is to express a complete thought or an idea. So it will express a complete thought or an idea. So option A is the correct answer. Moving on to the next question. What is the function of sentence in a paragraph? What is sentence doing in a paragraph? So here the sentence is used to introduce the main idea, to provide supporting details, to conclude the paragraph. So here answer is option D, all the above. Okay. What is coherence in writing? What is coherence in writing? The logical connection between ideas is the coherence in writing. Okay. Moving on to the next question. What is a run on sentence? Run on sentence. Here directly we will go for the correct answer. Option C is the correct answer. A sentence that contains two or more independent clauses without proper punctuation. It is a sentence having two or sometimes more than two independent clauses but without proper punctuation. Then it is called as run on sentence. Run on, no punctuation marks are used here. Okay. Moving on to the next question, that is 31st question. So let's move to the next question, directly to the 34th one. Already we are done with the above ones. What is the purpose of an outline? The purpose of an outline is to organize ideas before writing. See here, before writing something important, we have to outline the ideas. We have to organize the ideas. So next question, 35th question. What is the difference between denotation and connotation? Here again, option A is the correct answer. Denotation refers to the literal meaning, while connotation refers to the implied meaning. So I repeat, denotation, literal meaning, connotation, implied meaning. Now let us see 36th question. What is the function of tone in writing? What is the function of tone in writing? The function of tone in writing is to convey the writer's attitude towards the subject. To convey the writer's attitude towards the subject, that is, option A will be your right answer. Moving to the next question. What is syntax in relation to writing style? The arrangement of words and phrases. So, syntax is in writing style is the arrangement of words and phrases. Moving on to the next question. What is the purpose of revision in the writing process? So option B is the correct answer. The purpose of revision is to improve the clarity and coherence of writing. Okay, to improve clarity and coherence of writing, we make revision. So moving on to the next question. What is editing in writing process? Editing. What is the role of editing in writing process? Editing is done for checking grammar, punctuation, and also for checking spelling errors. So option B is the correct answer. This is one of the easiest. Then what is proofreading? So checking for grammar, punctuation, spelling error. So this is also proofreading. Option B is the correct answer. Then we have 41st question here. What is the importance of clarity in writing? So why clarity is needed? Clarity is needed so that we can convey the message effectively. Message will be conveyed very effectively if the writing has got good clarity in it. Okay. What is conciseness in writing? Conciseness means limiting the length. Option C is the correct answer. Using few words to convey the message is conciseness. Then next one, we have the next question. What is the purpose of transitions in writing? Here again, option A. The purpose of transition in writing is to connect ideas between sentences and paragraphs. Okay. Then question number 44. What is cohesion in writing? The logical connection between ideas. Option A is the correct answer. Then the next question is, what is the importance of audience awareness in writing? Audience awareness in writing. Here, the correct option is to tailor the content and tone to the audience. So, option A is the correct answer. Okay. Moving to the next 46th question. What is the purpose of thesis statement? The purpose of thesis statement is very simple. That is to introduce the main idea or main topic. Okay. Then we have the next 47th question. What is the difference between active voice and passive voice in terms of clarity? Tell me, in terms of clarity, which is more clear? Active voice is clearer and it is more direct. So option A is the correct answer. Okay. What is the importance of using specific examples in writing? So why we have to use specific examples writing? To add more details and to make the writing more engaging. Option A is the correct answer. Moving to the next question. What is the purpose of conclusion in an essay? The purpose of conclusion is to summarize the main points and reiterate the thesis. Option C is the correct answer. Moving on to the last question of this video. What is the importance of editing and proofreading in writing process? To improve the clarity and coherence of the writing, to check for grammar, punctuation and spelling errors, to add more details and examples. All the above is the correct answer. So editing and proofreading are needed for all the above purpose. With this, I conclude the video. Hope this was of use to you. Thanks for watching. Kindly like, share and comment the video.